my friends. As usual, I've had many things swirling around in my head lately. Very meaningful things about life. But I think that my mother probably gave me the best semi-quotes about life, character, even fashion and style, and also sometimes sex. I have so many memories of my mother and all the things that she talked to me about and all the lessons that I've learned from her that I am still practicing today. And I think I want to tell you all about them because, you know, they're all very, very relevant. These lessons or this advice that I got from my mother starting 75 years ago when I was a little girl, and it continued most of my life, even after we were married. Did your mother ever talk to you about sex? Now, there won't be too much TMI, as my kids say in that one, but a few tidbits that you might be interested in. Well, we had some sessions, good ones, and they were usually in our TV room. When we were watching TV late at night, my dad would be asleep, so would my brothers. Maybe they were out or whatever. This was mostly high school, college, when I was home on weekends. And we'd be having what she called cheese dreams. My mother would always get hungry late at night, around 11 or 12. And if we were still up watching TV, she was in the kitchen making some cheese dreams for us, which, by the way, Moose and I still have and consider one of the best comfort foods. And that is grilled cheese sandwiches with bacon, onions, and tomatoes. The best. Now, I have made a lot of notes, mainly because I know that I can get off track, as my husband says, stick to the facts, but I'm not just a facts person. I think you know that. I have so many rabbit hole stories about my mother, and some of them I do want to tell you about, but I'm going to try and be very succinct. She believed in herself, and that's something she always taught me. Always look for not what's wrong with people or things or life, but what could be right or what's right in things. An example of this was, I remember when Moose and I moved to Scotland for the first time. There were about 5 or 6 American families who lived there in connection with this very large company, the Singer Company, that Bill went to work for. We were there for 3 years. Now, obviously, living in a foreign country for the first time was very unusual. And I remember that many of the Americans would say, oh, I miss the big food stores, and I miss this, and I miss that. And I used to think, that's so crazy, because I was looking at all the new things that we never had at home. Like we used to have milk and hot buns delivered to the house in the morning. We never had that at home. I loved going down to the village and having little small shops. There was the fishmonger, there was the chemist, and we would stand in line with our little baskets, and that's where we would put food daily. No big giant supermarket shops. So many other things. The pubs where you would go with your family and you could have a meal with your family, meet people. People were so friendly. I could go on, but look for the things that are there for the first time, new experiences, not for something that you're missing from another experience. Moose has something to say about this.
In the 40s, there was a song, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative.
Something in between. Accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. That's a good way of putting it. It's one of her biggest life lessons. My mother said, and as we all know, there are 3 virtues in life: faith, hope, and charity. Keep to your faith. Don't let anyone mess with your beliefs. Always have hope that things are going to be better. And of course, charity, that applies to friends, to people you don't know. And charity can not only mean giving of money, things, but also giving of your kindness, your caring, and your friendship to others. Okay, now this rabbit hole story is going to tell you a lot about my mother, and probably I'm very much like her in this regard. She always said, you can do anything. You know, whatever a man can do, a woman can do, except when it gets to carrying something too heavy. But my mother was very decisive about things. When she wanted to do something, boy, she made up her mind and do it. My father, on the other hand, was from Massachusetts, and he was more conservative. He would say, well, Ruth, we're going to have to think about that. And that concerned taking a vacation, where we would go, what we would do, even projects around the house. He would have to write it out, how he'd do it and everything. And my mother, that drove her crazy, as it would me. She was very impetuous. And whenever my father would go off on a business trip, we would take him to the train, the Lackawanna train station in Montclair, New Jersey. And we would get home, and after a cup of coffee, the first thing she would do, go down in the cellar and grab a sledgehammer and a few other tools. She said, here, help me carry these up from the cellar. We went up to her bedroom. Now, she had always been very upset with her closet. In the old days, closets weren't huge like they are now. No walk-in closets back east in older homes. And you would have one door, and that would be your closet. And as I told you, my mother loved fashion and clothes, and she sewed a lot, had a lot in her closet. All her hats were under the beds in hat boxes. I don't know where the shoes were, but she needed more closet room. She went into that closet, and she had determined that there was extra room in her closet, not just straight ahead, but there was an area of about 4 feet, maybe 5 feet, down inside that you could hardly reach. And she couldn't see these clothes, but the closet was bigger than the doorway. Lo and behold, my mother took that sledgehammer and slammed it against the wall. And even though there was lath and plaster on the walls and the inside, I would say within an hour, she had one gaping hole all the way down, 4 feet down. I don't remember who put the door on, but by the time my father got home at the end of the week, she had a beautiful new closet that she had sliding glass doors. Someone helped her put those on. She didn't do that. And she had a new closet. She had even put molding around the outside and finished painting. Oh, that was that. And you know what? I think my father was somewhat relieved a lot of the times in cases like this. So that was part of her belief, in that try anything, take risks, and believe in yourself. And that sure was my mom. To try things new, take risks, and learn from your mistakes. Now, I hope everyone lives by that, but I remember her saying many of those things, maybe in different words, but that was it. Here's another one about life, the way you live your life. Be brave and courageous. Live and love fiercely. Now, the words were not totally my mother's, but that was the gist of what she was saying. When I think about it, my mother was a hoot. Now, she also believed, do not be intimidated by anyone. And I remember I can tell a rabbit hole story on this one. One day, my mother and I were riding in the car. We were taking my mom's housekeeper home. And on the way home, we looked at a curb. Someone was obviously throwing a lot of trash away. And we saw a chair a great chair. Now, it was pretty shabby looking, but that didn't bother us because we knew what we could do to refinish or reupholster a chair. My mother swerved the car, as I have always done, and she said, "Oh, look at that." She swerved the car to get over to the curb to pick up this chair and throw it in the back, and I was excited, as excited as she was. But the housekeeper said, "Oh, no, Miss Ruth, you're embarrassing me." Now, I thought that was rather ironic. By the way, my mother did throw that chair in the back of the car, and she made a beautiful, beautiful chair from it with a slip cover that she sewed herself. But she did not like being intimidated by anyone in her beliefs in what she did. And another of her big advice that I have to remember to include was always stay close to your brothers. And I have, even though we've been a country apart all these years, we still have intermittent visits back and forth and always on the telephone. Fashion and style. Now, my mom always said, if you have a great pair of shoes, a great hat, and a great bag, then everything else will look good too. And I think today that's even something I live by. I always love to look at shoes, pick a great pair of shoes, pick a great bag. Lots of times a hat will finish off the look, and I do have my hats, that's for sure. And then whatever outfit you decide to wear with those things is going to look good anyway. So that was one of her main fashion styles. The other was something that I say all the time: go big or go home. And in that genre, she included glasses, sunglasses, jewelry, any accessories, hats, and what was the other one? Oh, shoulder pads. You want to look good, your posture has to look better. And if your shoulders are a little rounded, stick in a pair of shoulder pads and it will make you look even better. So basically what she meant by that, go big or go home, it was just choosing your accessories. Now, a lot of people don't prefer big, bold jewelry and accessories. I happen to love them. And don't be afraid to wear them if that's your thing. My mother was a great fashion lover. First of all, she did sew, and she taught me to sew when I was 7, and we made a lot of our clothes. My mother was still sewing her clothes when she was in her late 70s. And the last time that I saw my mother, she was in a beautiful tweed suit in my front hall of my home in California on her way home from a wonderful long 6-week visit. She was ready to get on a plane to go back home again. And she was in that tweed suit that was very Chanel-ish that she had made. She had a beautiful maroon fedora on, and my mom was in her late 70s, and she had put on weight. She wasn't skinny. But there she was, still fashionable. And I think probably within the year she had died. Okay, here's the one about sex and your love life. Now, this all started when we were in high school. And after school, high school in the afternoons, my 2 buddies and I, Gail and Willie, you've heard me talk about Gail and Willie, we almost always went home to my house after school, mainly because my mom was there. She was so much fun to talk to, and she always had a great snack for us ready, even in high school. And we would sit in the TV room and we'd talk. And many's the time we would relate what's going on with boyfriends or whatever. And here's some of the things that over the years in high school, my mother imparted not only to me, but to Gail and Willie. Their moms' sex and love lives was a taboo. We didn't talk about that. The older generation was you didn't talk about certain things at all, especially things about sex. Well, I have to tell you that everything that I learned was not from the schoolyard about sex. It was from my mother, believe it or not. And she had some pretty outlandish ideas. And she did give me a couple of well, I'm not going to get into a lot of it, but some things were true. Some things turned out to be quite on the ball. Number one, never let any boy or man do anything that you don't want to do. That's a good one. And that stuck with me all through college and dating. Just because you have a crush on a boy doesn't mean you have to change your ideas or yourself. Always be yourself. That's enough. And if he doesn't like it, he can lump it. And on some rare occasions, we would get around to sex. And I always remember this one because it was humorous at the time. It was a bit shocking to Willie and I, but we had started to talk about, I guess, marriage for some reason or other. Not that that interested us in high school, but my mom and dad were typical 1920s people, I would think, that they had a very long courtship, and it was long distance. Oh, they courted for almost 10 years, starting when my mother was in high school, my father was in college. They went through the 1929 Depression, my father trying to keep a job, college-educated guy, but eventually they did get married in 1936. Now, there was no hanky-panky going on with them during that time, believe it or not. Nor was there hanky-panky going on with Moose and I, right? So this advice did carry on down, and her advice was, now girls, so far as sex goes, it's not all it's cracked up to be in the beginning. And she meant in the beginning of marriage. So you have to have your humor going in that one. I'm getting TMI here, as my kids would say, so I'm going to stop that for now. By the way, I did tell you about these t-shirts that I picked up a couple of weeks ago in Walmart. And I have two. This one is the one with the butterfly sleeve. And notice the puffy sleeve, one of my faves. On the bottom, which I did not notice at first, they have a gusset. Now, a gusset is a triangle that is put into either a sleeve or the bottom of a dress or a shirt. And the two gussets on each side, about 6 or 7 inches down from the armhole, are also beautiful eyelet, just like this. Can you see the eyelet at the bottom? Anyway, these are cute t-shirts, and I'll wear the other one in one of the next videos too. The earrings are from that great shopping site, Shein.com. I bought a lot of wooden jewelry from them, and I absolutely love these. I'll also put that link below too. I also hope you notice my new hairdo, my little braid, and I have to show you that I've put it on the top of my head and turned it up and tried to tuck everything under on the elastic band in the back. It's just another summer hairdo that I kind of like, and I think I've found a few little things that do match my hair. It's been very difficult. Well, I could go on and on about my mom and the wonderful advice that she gave me all throughout the years, from the time I was a little girl. Now, I am in my mid-80s right now. My mother, unfortunately, died much too early, but she was vital right up to a few weeks before she died. I remember every single episode that we had where we laughed, where we cried, and we had tears too, together. I did confide in my mom with everything, and my daughters did that too with me, and I am so grateful for that. And I am grateful for the times with my mother. I'm grateful for everything that I learned. She gave the best advice of anyone I know. I hope that you have some memories of your mom and some of the advice that she gave you, and I'd love to hear about it. Guess why we're singing? Moosey tested negative a couple of hours ago.
Well, that's why I'm out of jug.
Yeah.
Because I got a negative.
He got a negative, not even the hint of a blue. So we are on our way out to celebrate. And where are we going?
Wherever we can get a martini.
We're going for yogurt.
Oh.
Let me open this gate here. Yes, we're headed for our favorite outing these days. We call it COVID yogurt. And that's our big outing. Now, we could have gone to Red Lobster or somewhere for dinner if we really wanted to. We even have a couple of those cards from the kids that we've gotten for Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays, etc. But we're going to save that, right? Okay, here we go. Thank you all for watching this video. It could be a lot longer. And I'll include a few pictures of my mom. And until our next video, God bless our moms, and God bless us all.